Welcome to the Venly Expert Talks, where we aim to inspire Web3 builders with great stories from great minds. I'm your host, Alexandra Ahrens, and I'd like to remind you that you can always reach out to us on Twitter, Discord, or LinkedIn with ideas for the podcast and questions for our guests. Welcome to episode 15 of the Venly Expert Talks. Today we have with us Modesta, Head of Finance and Research, and Pedro, Senior Blockchain Analyst at DappRadar. And we will be talking about what's driving the NFT market and where it will go from here. So thank you for joining me. Welcome.
Hello, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting us. We are very excited.
Yeah. So I'd like to start out with just talking about your background in life in crypto and what brings you to the point you are today.
Right. So if I can, Pedro, I'll start from myself. So I'm Modesta.
Yes, please.
I'm actually been related to the finance already for 12 years. Been in different industries. First of all, I started in transportation industry, or like TNT. You may know it's like right now FedEx Group. The other experience was related to aviation, so it's very different experience than I'm currently in. And a few years ago, I joined DappRadar, initially as finance person to be responsible to build finance in place and also to build the research function at DappRadar. So I am at the blockchain space for almost 3 years now. And I've been involved, my experiences, I think is already quite big. I've been involved in different kind of reports, reviewing what is happening in this space, what is happening in DeFi when it was, the hype of DeFi, what is happening in NFTs, which we see right now. And personally, I also invest mostly in NFTs. So I'm really curious, not only from professional side, but also from the personal side to get involved as much as I can. And as I said, I built the function from the scratch, and this is when Pedro joined the team, and he became responsible for reporting function at DappRadar. But maybe he can introduce himself.
Perfect.
No.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks, Modesta. So I was 6-year consultant at EY, building data and financial analysis and structures. Myself, I started experimenting in crypto trading in 2018, and then I decided to pursue a master's around blockchain technologies. I developed smart contracts for tracing organic food. So I really was in love with what blockchain technologies can give to people. And yes, Modesta said, I joined DappRadar 8 months ago. Quite happy to be supporting the research team, trying to be as much clear as possible to give people more insightful information. And yeah, love to be engaged in the space.
Awesome. Great. Then from here, can you tell us first about DappRadar, what it does, what it brings to the blockchain space?
Yes, so I'll start from this question. For the listeners to know, maybe some of them already know DappRadar, but DappRadar is in this space for the last 4 years. So basically, DappRadar was from the very early stages of the blockchain space. And we started, of course, from the tracking of different gate data points, mostly for Ethereum. Then, of course, evolved to EOS and Tron back then. And right now we are tracking more than 30 different blockchains. But as the DappRadar evolved over years, we position ourselves as the world's Dapp store. And what do we give to the space, and what do we want to give to the space is tools and data, but not only for experienced people, but also for the newbies, because Dapp space can be quite difficult, especially in the initial stages, but also going forward. And more and more, we are looking forward to empower our community in helping to us to create this Dapp store. And this is where I think is important to mention. This is how native token of the DappRadar ecosystem was born, with the idea for our users to basically to have a chance to vote, to propose and contribute and build the dApps for the billions of people.
Awesome.
Yes, it is.
Cool. So, yeah, was there something else you wanted to add?
No, maybe just a quick comment. It's really important. Just for us. We are trying to get as deep as possible to our community, and this was, not some rational decision to go with a radar token. It was very thought through, and it just basically helps us to enable that. Sometimes people, we see that sometimes people, have some difficulties to understand. So how it's different, from this app store, which everyone is familiar with. And I would just need the key difference, that the App Store or DappRadar basically provides the opportunity for the users to participate, to own, to contribute, Of course, the technological element is very different. Most likely Pedro can explain even more in details that. But this is the key thing, just to add on top.
Yeah. So let's try to understand the difference between a traditional app store, like the one we have in our phones, and the Dapp Store. And imagine a traditional Web 2 app store that is curated top down and collects your data. And reimagine this for Web 3, where the Dapp selection is community curated. That community factor is really important for DappRadar, where we don't simply collect your data, but we want to understand your needs, and we want to understand what our community wants of DappRadar to become. So also providing ownership, not a centralized storage, right, which is very important, and one of the foundations and fundamentals of blockchain technologies. And also we're trying to build this discovery loop where you, as a person interested probably in investing in NFTs, as an example, go through our page and really start completing this discovery loop with transparent key on-chain statistics and insights that can allow you to have a better understanding and take a better decision at the important time. And also very, very important is that as a decentralized Dapp store, DappRadar do not set up fees for Dapp developers yet. So that is also one important thing to consider.
Okay. You said yet. Is that something that's planned for the future?
It will.
I can answer this, Pedro. I can take this, Pedro. A very good question, Alex. It's we always need to be sure, we say proper thing, because we don't know. That's why it's yet, and it doesn't mean that we're introducing anything right now, or we were thinking to do that like right now. It's not. But I think it's just important to be very transparent, which this industry suggests.
Yeah, definitely. I understand. So stay transparent in the fact that you may have to change as the space changes. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the end, also the community has a big saying, and we cannot decide for the community. So
exactly. So even if we say that no, our community at some point can decide to do differently. So yeah, okay. And we will listen.
Good. That's great. All right, great. So talking more about NFTs then from here. When we're looking at the activity around NFTs, which use cases are leading right now? Is it still art and PFPs, or is it changing something else?
Right. So maybe I can just start from sharing, overall picture. So, 2021 was all about NFTs, right? What was really surprising to see that this year, January was also very active. And of course, it was hyped by celebrities a lot. It was hyped by anime-inspired NFTs coming to the industry. So January was actually the record high month for NFT space, which was really surprising because we as a company were expecting maybe to see it a bit cooling down. And in February, actually, this is what had happened. So it was a bit delay. And this is nothing, just to put that into perspective, nothing to be worried about, because this industry has a certain cycles. And we saw, we saw a DeFi cycle back in 2022. We are seeing an NFT cycle, and it's just cooling down. It's just like how it works, how this industry develops and evolves, basically going during the years. And still, even looking into February, what we see, of course, the profile pictures are still leading the space. But more and more we see, activities coming from metaverses, which everyone may recall the hype was started back in 2021 when basically Meta announced about the rebranding. And a lot of blockchain companies, of course, had an effect on that, where the native currencies saw increase in their prices, of course, but also the virtual worlds with land prices appreciate in value. So we see that. And Pedro, maybe you just can add more details to that, because I'm pretty sure you are looking at this as you're doing your overview right now.
Yeah, just to complement and answer also part of Alex's question in regards to art. Like, art has significantly cooled down, and why is that? It's not that the demand for art is down. Make no mistake. It's the volumes that we were used to see on art, because it was very innovative. It was self-generating art, which is basically, something new. Collections like the Chrome Squiggles or the Ringers were being sold for millions. And the market for those type of NFTs have decreased a bit in terms of value, although there are still one-to-one art pieces that are still highly valued. So at some point, the art itself, in terms of volume, has slowed down. And as Modesta say, like, the avatar collection are still one of the dominant categories. The Bored Apes, the CryptoPunks have now been joined by new projects like Azuki, which is this anime NFT that we have been talking all about, Clonex, which is the collection launched by Artifact, and other type of profile picture that have really created a demand, like the Invisible Friends, the Freelance Karafuru, and a lot. But the use case for Avatar is still very, very clear, and it actually intersects with the metaverse, which is probably one of the most important trends to follow. And this is a trend that also relates to virtual lands. Ever since the Meta announcement, we saw the value of virtual worlds appreciated tremendously. And this month, for instance, we saw again like another wave of virtual lands have started to gain value. And this is not your typical virtual lands that you found in the sandbox or in the central land or in Somnium Space. These are a new wave of virtual lands like NFT worlds, which are rewarding their users with passive income with their own token. Webland, the World Wide Web, which basically shouts out interoperability, and it's basically their main differentiator. And Ethereum Towers also, for example, which is the first vertical virtual space. So we are seeing also innovation within the Meta, and it's quite interesting to see how these new niches of NFTs are forming and are really starting to gain traction.
Okay. So would you say that because of that structure with the metaverses, that's one of the main reasons why NFTs kind of sustain their value even as crypto is kind of slowing down?
Well, I think, of course, that's exactly correct. But I think we're supposed to start from explaining, what NFTs are, and these are non-fungible tokens. So they are way different from cryptos, right? Cryptos correlates directly to traditional assets, traditional financial assets, and NFTs are different. They has a different scarcity level. They are unique, right? And they bring different kind of ideas. Like for some of the NFTs brings you premium, some NFTs brings you utility, which you cannot necessarily find in the cryptos world. And just maybe for the listeners better understand, I really like to give very simple examples, to explain how to look into that. So imagine, financial crisis happening in traditional world, and put in front of you the picture of this painting of Mona Lisa, right? It has certain value, right? And even though the global indexes might be falling 20%, 50% in some cases, it's not necessarily going to decrease the value of the painting, because it takes time for the painting to appreciate the value, and it takes time, to be that painting, to face these global events. So they are just a different kind of assets, which is basically quite difficult, at least for some of them, for top blue chip, especially projects, to be directly correlated to the global events. That's why we saw the situation, which started happening in January, where these NFTs, some of them even were growing, not decreasing.
Yeah, and to complement the idea, we also see additional factors like, you, Modesta, talked about the utility that NFTs are providing their users, but I mean, to the celebrities and how the communities are being formed in the space are also important. People are starting to realize that these are not simple avatar projects; these are not simple JPEGs. And why are celebrities being so interested? And celebrities, let's be honest, they have a massive social reach. And I can give you a couple of examples. One is Eva Longoria joined the World of Women project, NFT project, and the price basically threefolded in a matter of hours. So that is the power of celebrities. And another example, and it goes not to celebrities, but to big brands. And big brands are starting to consider some NFTs like real assets that can store value. And part of our cultural development, I would say, Visa on August last year purchased CryptoPunk, and basically on the official Visa page, they launched an announcement that we are investing in an NFT. We consider it as an investment vehicle, as an asset that can store value. And we are seeing also that in collection like the Bored Apes, where they are being auctioned in important houses like Sotheby's and Christie's. So slowly these type of digital assets are becoming more real investments rather than a simple curiosity becoming out from Web3. So all in all, they are creating a new economy on their own. They can be considered assets on their own, and they have their own macroeconomic events like the celebrities, the adoption of brands, how the communities are being formed. And to be fair, the final point that I would like to comment, why the NFTs were thriving while the while the crypto market was crashing, is that at some point they're decreasing the price of the ether, which is the underlying asset to purchase most of the NFTs or any other cryptocurrency, allow you to purchase or maybe get involved in the space with a reduced price. So that probably also drove the demand quite up in January, what we saw.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So kind of going back to what you said, Modesta, you're saying it's very separate. Fair enough. How do you feel that current world events, for example, what's happening with Ukraine, is going to affect or is affecting the NFTs in the next month, 6 months, year?
It's a very good question to ask, and I think everyone is really started to consider, and it's very early stage right now to really draw very clear conclusions. But I still would like to say a few things. Of course, well, we already see that activity within the last days once Ukraine events start happening. decreased. And this is basically because people were really invested into the situation, and they still are, which I think every one of us, but I would call it a very short term, effect specifically to the NFT space. But on the top of that, we also see, which is important to bring in, that cryptos are increasing, and most likely this is because of the events of blocking Russia users or people, different kind of people, even businesses, and it's still very hard to say, is this going to be, positive effect onto NFT space? But we can already say that most likely it's going to help because it is going to increase awareness once again. From the initial stages of this industry was seeking, recognition, was seeking this mass adoption, and these events really helping to show the benefit of cryptos. It helps, the ones which are hurt, like Ukrainians, to get funds, to get, charity, in a different way. Actually, even the NFTs are being used to give charity. If you check the wallet address, which is very interesting. So, yeah, most likely is going to help in the long run. In a shorter term, it's very difficult to predict because, as we explained, there is also the NFT, hype, NFT cycle. We see that it's growing, in like waves, right? So it started a downward trend. Is it going to be affected by the, acknowledgement of this whole crypto industry? Most likely to some extent. Is it going to create another hype? It's hard to say, but most likely it's not so much. Is it going to help in the long run? Yes, it's going to do that. And I think it's very important to say. But also together with that, most likely it will bring regulators, eyes, and they will be very crucial, to move forward faster. But this is nothing new because industry experts are already talking, that about the situation that regulation is supposed to happen in this space. Most likely it's just going to be introduced a bit earlier because everyone see that the crypto really has a huge benefit, but also to some extent unregulation brings a certain amount of risk, which regulators usually tries to control.
Yeah, and it's not only, well, of course, the big narrative right now is around Ukraine, but we also saw what happened in Canada last or 2 weeks ago, where the government announced that they basically were issuing a law where they were basically going to freeze your bank account without any previous advice. So that's also a thing that decentralized structures can avoid. Like, why am I going to suffer and going through that, having all my assets frozen without access to them? I mean, of course, that's a regulatory issue, but not necessarily applicable to all cases. And this is one of the biggest advantages that Web3 and decentralized technology infrastructures will bring to the table.
Definitely. Okay, for sure. Good. Well, very interesting points. Thank you. And then actually I'm just going to go back a little bit again and go back to Pedro, what you said about celebrities and bigger brands getting into the NFT market. Obviously that brings a lot of hype overall, and in the long run, is that hype going to last? Is it going to be definitely good for the space? Is there any negatives you foresee?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, this is bringing celebrities into the space is a double-edged sword, right? It will bring a lot of positive and advantages, but also it comes with risks. And I will start with the risks. Right now we are seeing, first the bad news, right? So
as you wish.
I prefer bad news first. So we're seeing like how influencers, pseudo-called influencers, and some celebrities like De'Aaron Fox, which is an NBA player, basically are paid to promote NFT projects, like without doing research, without even knowing what they are getting to, just because they want to promote. And this is very risky because people say, oh, look, my favorite player is promoting an NFT project. I want to be part of it. But in the end, it's one of the projects that will eventually will go down in value because they do not offer anything behind, right? So this is a very, very important risk to consider. On the other hand, let's go to the good news, which are plentiful. We are seeing very interesting collaborations happening already in the space. Nike partnered with Artifact, which is a fashion Web3 project, which was in charge of releasing CloneX. We're seeing collaborations between Adidas and Bored Ape and Punk's Comic. And you start to think, what exactly are they going to build in the metaverse? This is a shift that we are getting more and more visibility on, like Microsoft, Sony, Take-Two. These big companies are already preparing their next moves into the metaverse, and how the fashion brands like Gucci, Adidas, Dolce and Gabbana will promote this space further is going to be very interesting and a very bullish sign for the industry as a whole. And it will all get back to how positive that I'm generating an impact in my community, how am I affecting positively my community, and yeah, how positive products I'm building. So I think it's going to be bullish in the long run.
Awesome. Okay. Great. So Modesta, you said before, obviously, that, I mean, we all know 2021, great for NFTs, even January, awesome. Would you say, though, rather, why? Why 2021? Why not sooner? Why did it take years for it to really get going?
One just additional great question. I really like this question, and I actually when I saw it, yeah, and we need to get back, to like 4 years, almost 4 years ago, even more, I think. So a few years ago, back in 2017, the very first project, which is called CryptoPunks, was launched. Also, CryptoKitties were launched, and actually, even though CryptoPunks didn't draw too much of the hype, CryptoKitties did. Even at that stage of the blockchain, which was very initial stages, people were really curious. They were actually onboarding, and for a few days, the volumes was actually quite high. It reached millions, which is really important to know. But back then, Ethereum network faced congestion issues. They didn't foresee, that quickly people can just go on board, they were willing, to go and buy these kitties, to breed them, it became a very, nice exercise, like sort of a game. And the industry was basically not that ready. And it of course dropped. On the other hand, even then, the awareness of this industry was very low. A lot of people were still looking, and I think it's very important to know, mentally they never were like accepted that thing, this industry. It was still, like something crazy, something very new, I need time to digest and so on, some Bitcoin, which looks like a scam, and it took time, for people just to adopt the idea that this is something great being built out there. And I really want to mention, because I think already Pedro mentioned that back in 2020, when DeFi hype started, when these DeFi platforms start launching the tokens just to invite these users to, basically to earn, to do some stuff and earn, it really helped to increase the awareness, right? And it was very important year for the blockchain space, because 2022 was basically just right after, 2019, which is obvious. But what does that mean? That, in 2019, which is actually the year when I joined, everyone was like, crypto was down. The cryptocurrencies was facing, bear market. Everyone was doubting is going to be another ride and so on. So And it did happen, this DeFi hype really helped to bring the speed into the industry, the people, to see that, Bitcoin is not like some scam. It can actually see the value close to 60,000, which is amazing. The same with the Ethereum, cryptocurrency. So yeah, and it really helped. And of course, everyone was already, at least in the blockchain space, aware that, there is these amazing, NFT products, which help you to do whatever you want, basically. If you're an artist, you can go and use this technology. To some extent, it helps copyright. Well, of course, we can discuss about that a lot. I would like to leave that aside. So yeah, this recognition brought, once again, idea, how NFTs are great and what that technology brings to the users. So everyone, already in 2020, like at DappRadar, we start talking, well, most likely 2021 is going to be big for NFTs. And of course, some celebrities joined in the early 2021, like Justin Bieber, other, like Paris Hilton, and this is even for some people, if it's funny, people just get to know something is happening. I need to try it. And the new projects like joined, these projects, became very, some of them like very amazing. I'm especially amazed about Bored Apes Club. Basically they created this, premium club, which you can see in traditional world, for the boys to catch up or to, or to show which one, has a better NFT. So one event by event, it led to the great hype, which of course one was spotted by developers. So they introduced more and more, and with each new project, a bunch of new people were also brought in the industry. Also, the followers of these celebrities brought in, the brands that joined also brought in these new people who just endorse these different kind of NFTs, that are being launched by the brand, for example. So it just took a while, but it was worth a while. It was worth waiting, and so it was like a lot of elements, like awareness, new projects introduced, and basically these projects also already suggesting quite qualitative ideas or utilities to the owners, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. Just to complement quickly the idea, we also start seeing like very innovative projects like hash masks probably started to lay down the foundation of randomly generated attributes. Well, of course, we saw that in CryptoPunks, but hash masks revived that vibe on January. Then on February, we saw NBA Top Shot, which is, of course, one of the biggest sport brands in the world, launching an NFT marketplace. So people start to realize, okay, this is not a simple JPEG. This is something. And people probably start to understand the true powers of NFTs, which is the ownership that is granted to you by owning these pieces. And this is going to be massive for games, which is another conversation. And we are still facing a lot of resistance from traditional gaming industry. But I think we're under the same path. And yeah, probably people just start to realize how important NFTs and what advantages they bring.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you actually kind of lead me right into the next point, which is gaming. So,
Okay.
Yeah, statistics obviously show in 2021 that it was a big year for blockchain gaming. So I'd love to talk about what you think the relationship is there and how it will work with traditional gaming in the future.
Yeah,
no, I mean...
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so just a few things from my end. Yeah, so it was a good year. But just for the record, if we talk more about the future, we are seeing that there is a huge investment, happening right now into the games, which means they attracts funding, especially like Animoca brands, like for example, right, making a dent. But what does that mean? These investments suggest that the activity, well, games are not here yet, but they are about to be built. And we might view, basically what we might see, 2023 expectedly to be quite important year for the blockchain game space. But I'll give microphone to Pedro because I'm pretty sure he has like way more to say about the game space and like specific projects and how everything will interact.
You summarized it perfectly. Like NFTs is the key here again. Imagine Fortnite, right? Which is one of the biggest virtual worlds. You purchase $1,000 in skins and ammunition, and 1 month later, you acknowledge that the servers are down, and basically you lose all your investments, right? You really, although you're purchasing an item inside Fortnite, you truly don't have the ownership of that assets. And this is what decentralized applications and blockchain technologies enable, like providing users a way to cut the middlemen, which are the central servers in this case, and also provide full ownership of your assets that you can basically go and trade in one marketplace or another. This is also a part of interoperability, which is important. And in terms of what a future holds, it's going to be very important. A game does not take 1 year or 2 years to develop. Decentraland has been running since 2017, and it still has some developments to be made. Something similar with the sandbox. And even if we look in traditional gamings, the games developed by Ubisoft or the Cyberpunk that was launched on PS5 in 2020, it took basically 7 years to build, 7 years. So we need to be very careful and we need to be very patient. There are a lot of money flowing into NFTs, big companies and venture capitals like Animoca Brands, SoftBank, and other big institutions are already convinced that blockchain games are the future. Just let's stay patient because it's nothing that can be built from 1 year to another. Although this year, thanks to the advantage of layer 2 and scaling solutions like Immutable X, we are going to start seeing very interesting games like Illuvium, which is a AAA game, labeled as a AAA game, should probably launch somewhere in 2022. Virtual features on Axie should also be ready this year. And next year, we should be ready to be aware of what Gala games and other type of infrastructures will also be launching. So it will definitely be quite interesting to see what the evolution of blockchain games will become.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So on that same vein of things, you mentioned a couple gaming projects, obviously, but are there other NFT projects or infrastructures that you are particularly interested in or excited about?
Right. So, of course, the ones which we own. Well, we like the most, right? But of course, just to stay out of that, like I'm a big fan of Bored Apes, Club. Well, I already mentioned that. But I'm also, still not invested, but still considering a big fan of World of Woman. Because it just like really gives additional taste, because it seems that the blockchain space is really all about, first of all, developers, right? Which usually, done by men, some famous collections like Bored Apes also seem to be like driven more by men, and this is a very nice narrative which comes from the collection, which seems to be dedicated to the woman for us to create some interesting club. So as you may understand, I'm a big fan and I concentrate my efforts onto profile picture NFTs. So this is where I'm looking forward. Of course, I'm looking forward for the games. I think even Sims, not sure if you ever tried playing, but they're also considering to do something with blockchain. I might even get involved with the games too in the future, because it sounds exciting. And I'm really, really looking forward. I don't know. How about you, Pedro? What is your feeling?
I'm going to be biased, to be honest. I'm going to because
Love it.
I really like the project that I'm involved in the beginning. That it's Pixel Bolt and Pugs comic. Uh, they've been doing really nice stuff, providing us with added utility. They have partnered with Adidas, as I said earlier. Of course, it's big involvement, and you really see the transparent of their founding team, the bonded of the community. So it's a very nice project to just at least to take into consideration. The other one that I really like is Artifact, which I'm not an owner of, but I really like what they're doing. Again, providing utilities and the immersion of fashion into the space. It's going to be important. I think it's a 4 billion market for wearables and skins globally. So, of course, a big potential of that industry embedded into Web3 technology. And talking about games, I mentioned it before. I really like Gala Games as an ecosystem. I think it's really underexposed. It has a lot of potential. Basically, it allows players or persons around the world to own Gala nodes, which are basically computers running the decentralized ecosystem. You can, of course, be part of the running of Gala Games, earn passive income, and they have partnered with very interesting people that have a lot of knowledge in the traditional gaming industry. Uh, they are co-founded. Sorry, they are founded by a co-Singa former founder. Um, Really interesting projects like Miranda's, which is a epic RPG action, well, open world RPG game, which probably will be ready by 2023. Echoes of Empire, and The Walking Dead. So you start to see the partnership, you start to see the diversification in the type of games, and but most importantly, the decentralization aspect is quite enticing from my perspective.
Definitely. Okay. Good. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit here. Is it true that a lot of NFT buyers are looking to make money flipping them more at the moment rather than just investing long term?
Well, I think that there is, we cannot say more than, like if we look into collection, we cannot say like, let's say majority of owners are looking forward, to trade just to flip, around and make money. Of course, everyone is investing with the idea to earn. But what we see, the certain amount, most likely not even a half, will try to hunt these, projects, new projects that are being launched. They expect it to appreciate in value. And they purchase them. Some of them start selling straight away, but some even like well-known, whales, NFT whales, purchase them, but and keep them at least, for a while, like at least for a few months, sometimes half a year, sometimes even don't sell at all. But like, let's say on average, they keep for some months, and once the price hits some threshold, they start selling out. But we also see, a lot of, investors who are willing, to take this different kind of strategy, which is basically like lazy strategy, right? I invest because I believe and I'm willing to stay. So, for example, even like two, at least me and Pedro, so two people in this call are these lazy investors because we are in a long run, we're not looking to sell our collectibles at all. We are looking, just to basically see what they might bring to us. So we wouldn't confirm, that this is mostly about flippers. Yes, there is certain amount of people, but who's willing to do that, who really doesn't care. They see the hype, they start like purchasing it, expecting that it's going to appreciate. But of course, there's other group of people who just willing to sit and wait, to see. And as I mentioned, once again, 3 years here, I purchased some of NFTs like land NFTs 2 years ago. And if I would have been this flipper, I would have earned, like $50 or something like that. So I purchased one land for $150, something like that. Right now it's worth $10,000. I waited 2 years. I was patient. So yeah, just like one example, how this strategy is actually even better than just, be very active, because it's quite difficult to be an NFT flipper, I would say. And one of our colleagues actually tried and faced some losses in that. And she said that for her, it also worked better, to basically spend some time read, and join the collection because you really think it's going to explode, than actually try to, to flip around.
Mm-hmm. So better to join projects because you like them and you believe in them long term, you would say.
Yeah.
But also you can start like identifying certain opportunities, right? Because I'm gonna give an example. Like you were fortunate to access one of the very difficult now to access whitelist, right? And you can acquire a project for a very reasonable mean price. Then the project gets hyped, and before the art is revealed, we know for sure that there is an opportunity to sell at a higher price. So I think that is a perfect moment to diversify your strategy, to diversify your portfolio, because you will acquire some funds and you can be very intelligent. And so I think it's a mixture of different investment strategies, and it's very very funny to see that even some of the whales, the biggest NFT collectors, which of course I'm not going to disclose who, follow a very passive investment strategy. Basically, they acquire 100 or 200 NFTs by month, and they sell 30 or 40, and you see how they are stacking up NFTs massively. So it all depends, but you also see whales, which are also important um, to follow and be aware what they are doing, being quite active. So it all depends. It all depends.
Definitely.
Yeah, but still, like recommendation, don't do irrational decisions. Always due diligence, guys. If you invest somewhere, even if you decided to do that for long run, you mean like the due diligence is really needed. And of course, the mix of some, like as Pedro explained, I also do it myself, some of the NFTs actually sell. But a few I am willing to keep, at least a few. So but always
exactly.
due diligence, checking, does that really make sense? Is this look like a scam or not? Also very important topic. So
definitely.
Yeah, there are projects that you just want to hold until the end of time and see what happens. So
I agree, and I'm going to. I hope I'm going to. I will have the patience to do that.
Okay. Good. Okay. So we already touched on, obviously, fashion and gaming and a couple other things, but this is kind of a general question. Where do you see the NFT market going next? What should we kind of look for?
So very broad view. We are seeing, but I think Pedro, as always, will have a lot of more comments, like deeper comments into everything. But very broad view, where we see, that is going to the metaverse. This is going to virtual opportunities, virtual economies. Like even just recently, a few days ago, even like Walmart, announced that we're exploring, possibilities. What does that mean? It's like they have a really big, user base or customer base. They're exploring this opportunity. Of course, they're keeping in mind, if nothing is going to go well, still there's no, big losses, because they are more of exploring it and so on. But I'm pretty sure they will succeed in that too. But this is just one example, like Walmart, who decides to do that, who decides, to think of the ways how to sell the products, and maybe in some in some store which is built on this specific virtual land. And we see, events going also more virtual. Of course, COVID situation helped a lot this space, especially virtual space, to have a different speed and so on, and different interests. So, of course, we see going towards these virtual economies expanding, you can name it, fashion, concerts, even like different kind of events, like for example, even DappRadar, once we were launching our token, we had an event, where we invited a singer. It was actually a singer, with VR equipment. We did that in Somnium Space, by the way. And I mean, it was really amazing experience, to face. It was something, we have colleagues all over the world, and they all were able to participate, because we were not just like in some party, in some club or whatever. We were in virtual. So this is going to be most likely quite big and evolve this year, and it's going to unfold.
Yeah. So definitely the metaverse is going to be probably the most accessible use case and the one with the most potential. But outside of that, embedded in our daily lives, I don't think it's going to be long until we start seeing NFT applications. And music is one that it's really interesting to explode, and probably one that we are going to start seeing more and more this year. Um, so I'm going to focus on future use cases like tickets to events that reduce the black market, that reduce illegal activity, and basically it also will reward users and buyers. Like I buy a ticket to a concert, I assist to a concert with my NFT, and probably after the concert is finished, I will receive an NFT. So I will start forming more and more community. Another example can be in authentication and how we are going to start embedding NFTs into the Internet of Things, which is very interesting. And it can make the mind of some people out there explode. But um, via a QR code and a hashed cryptographic properties of NFTs, basically you can unlock your house only with your NFT. Or maybe you will have the data coming from your refrigerator and your cars coming in the form of NFTs. And finally, how our digital identity will become an NFT on its own, like our avatars, our wearables, our behavior in the metaverse will also probably be stored as an NFT, and depending on what properties it has, it will have different benefits and applications. So a lot of potential for the industry. We're really, really excited to be involved in the space.
Definitely, that's very wide range of things you've mentioned. It's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for example, that the Walmart that Modesta mentioned, they feel trademarks for uses and licenses of NFTs. But one start to wonder, like, am I going to go to the supermarket with my VR and then I purchase my chips and my beer, but does my avatar drink that for me, or how is it going to work? So it's
most
it's
likely
going to be
you are
interesting.
going to get a real thing, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Unless you value, like virtual beer.
Is it going to be delivered via a drone, or a drone is going to go to my house, like in Ready Player One? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Maybe like there's going to be like a different kind of communication system which will help to do that. So it's just a start of everything. So but imagine the experience actually go like sitting at home, going with your VR equipment and actually purchasing something like sofa, for example. This doesn't look that crazy anymore, I think, in these days.
We're
already halfway there, so
we are heading there without a doubt.
We're heading there.
Okay, very cool. Well, that was a very broad question, and you've given me an amazing answer, so I appreciate that. So what opportunities with all of this, what opportunities do you see for Web3 builders to assist in this market growth?
Well, numerous opportunities, as mentioned. So usually these developers, usually they react, to the trends. And it was very obvious, like since this new hype start, which we can say once again, most likely it was like Meta really helped. So there's a big opportunities, but it's also, it doesn't mean that there's like only, for the developers to build like some metaverses. They can concentrate looking into specific, virtual businesses, how to make it better, like how to bring food to Pedro, for example. So it's very wide, it's like these metaverses, virtual worlds, really broadens up, although it seems like some subcategory a while ago it was said to be, subcategory of NFTs, but itself is so huge, it can invite them to do different things. So, and of course, like fashion, music, and so on. This is where to concentrate and try to find the opportunities. I'm pretty sure that you have an enormous amount of opportunities going forward.
Yeah, one that it's very interesting to explore is the economies that are going to be formed inside a metaverse, because we're already start to seeing that a new wave of jobs, of digital jobs, are created as we speak, right? So in the metaverse, probably I own a land and I don't know how to design, so I'm going to hire a designer or a developer to help me construct what I really like. I want an NFT museum, so I need a designer to help me put the walls and put my NFT inside an NFT so people can go in VR and see the exposition. Um, Real estate brokers, of course, developers that help me monetize my experiences inside a metaverse. We are going to see a new type of economy, digital one. Of course, it was also accelerated by the COVID and all the macroeconomic situation that we are already aware of. But something that probably we are going to be listening a lot in the upcoming months.
Yes, so even events organizers, if you don't see people going out, different times, different events brings different situation, right? So these virtual event organizers most likely is going to be on different hype, to join the space too. So there's a big opportunities everywhere.
Yeah, DJs, musicians, and artists that are probably not renowned, they will have their opportunity to create their own visibility based on their work. So it's going to be quite important.
Yeah. Awesome. Very exciting. Very exciting. Okay, guys. So we're kind of starting to get to the time where we need to wrap up. So I want to ask, do you have any exciting news for DappRadar? Anything that you want to plug before we wrap up?
So just maybe very quickly, we already have a lot of products on DappRadar, and we are working, on better navigation, of course, on improvements. We also working, on very nice pro additional features, which is dedicated for Radar token holders. But I think what our community is really waiting to unfold is that just yesterday we started voting on, our token to be visible, to be available on not only on Ethereum network, but also another network, which they are going to decide right now. So this is something I think very exciting to the community itself. But of course, a lot of products, and stay tuned. We are sharing, on new blockchain listings, on new features, and so on. Just like a few days also ago, we increased the speed of our NFT page. So if you want to check Frank's portfolio, go ahead. It actually works very fast and so on. So different kind of improvements. But as I said, most likely when it comes to Radar token, this is something what our community is waiting for.
Wonderful. Yeah, and we can add all those links in the podcast notes as well, so people can know where to find this information.
Okay.
So great. So last question, who should we have on Venly Expert Talks next?
Didn't expect this question.
Yeah.
Can we think about that? So may I suggest one topic? I think, today we had a very nice topic, and also together with that speakers. So for the next time we can think, I think games is something, games together with NFTs is something, that's worth, coverage way bigger when we did today. And Pedro, another colleague of his, is quite, becoming an expert, into this, onto this topic. So maybe it would be also with the chance at some point for them also to introduce this topic. Not necessarily this month, maybe a few months later, but where we actually can maybe also already share some new examples of games and so on, and also how it affects NFT space.
I'm gonna pitch somebody, which is outside of DappRadar, but he is a YouTuber and he's the founder of Moralis. His name is Ivan. Well, Ivan on Tech, and I think he's one of the most clever persons in this space. And it would be very nice to understand what they are thinking, what they are building in terms of infrastructure, because basically their platform is going to facilitate the development of web applications, which is going to be important for mass adoption. I learned a lot from him, so I would love to learn his take on that.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thanks. Sorry to put you on the spot like that, but it's great.
No, fair enough.
Fair enough. Okay.
Cut off out of guard, but I mean, this is the fun part. Let's try to improvise as much as possible.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. It was an absolute pleasure. Lots of interesting information. Like I said, we can put all links in the podcast notes so people know where to find you and everything we've talked about today. And I hope we get to talk again soon.
We hope so too. Thanks,
Likewise.
Alex. It was just a pleasure to speaking to you today, and well, we're looking forward to do that more.
Great.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. Thanks for having us today.
Thanks.